Hey everyone, it's Kayla from KJ and Her Books, and welcome back to my channel for another video. So this will be the second time that I have tried to film this video because the first time I filmed it and it was ridiculously blurry, so that was fun. Had to delete the whole thing and just do it again. So today's video I'm going to be talking about the movies that I enjoyed that were better than their books. So I'm the kind of person who will read a book and watch a movie, but I'll think of them as two separate things. So for example, with the Hunger Games, I tried to separate the books from the movies and just enjoyed both counterparts. It's the same with Percy Jackson. I flip and love those books. The movies are not amazing. They're nowhere near as close to the books as they should be, but I still enjoy them. I still find them entertaining. You just sort of have to separate them from the books. That's what I like to do, and this video today is going to be me talking about the movies that I enjoyed rather than the books. But I had seen most of these movies before I had read these books anyway, so that could have made a difference. It just turned out that I loved the movies. I enjoyed the movies so much more than I did the books. The first one I have is the only one that I actually read the book before I watched the movie, and that was Mockingjay, the third book in the Hunger Games trilogy. I love this cover, by the way. How gorgeous is it? And look at the pages. They're so pretty. But I really enjoy this trilogy. I love the movies. They're fantastic. But honestly, this book is probably the most boring book out of the three of them. It just drags along so much. Whereas the movie translated it far better than I could have expected. So they did the movie in two parts. They did Mockingjay Part 1, Mockingjay Part 2. And Part 1 is very toned down compared to what Part 2 is. Part 2 is just crazy. As you probably will know if you've seen the movie and read the books. First half of this book is just so boring. You're just like, alright, skip to the action, skip to the good parts. I just don't care. Like, it was just a lot of talking. It was just so boring, and the movie was so much better. It was just a lot more entertaining and a lot more interesting than the first half of this book. So I think they did really well in the translation of this book to film, and I highly enjoyed the movie better than I did the book. This next one is one that you've probably all heard of, and that is The Princess Bride by William Goldman. I really love this movie. This movie is like a classic 80s fantasy movie with everything that you could possibly ever want. It has romance, it has fantasy, it has action, it has fighting, it has so much, and I adore it. There are so many quotable moments. I love it. The characters are fantastic. The book was definitely so different to the movie. Like, there were still some parts that were very similar, but I think they did really well in putting this into a film. They still kept the main idea of the story and the main themes and the characters and stuff, but they cut out some parts that really just didn't make any sense and just focused on the main important things, which is what the film is. So I think they did a lot better. I think it's a lot better on the screen than it is in a book, because his writing is not that amazing. It's kind of weird and a little bit all over the place, in my opinion. I still enjoy the book, but I definitely like the movie adaptation so much better. It's one I could watch over and over again. Like I said, it is so quotable. The characters are amazing. They really had the perfect cast for it. It's just fantastic. So it's almost like it's an original parody of cheesy classic fantasy, and I love it. So I really enjoy the movie better than the book. Like I said, the book is still fun, but not as good as the movie adaptation was. The next one that I have is Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman. I freaking love this movie. I watch it every Halloween. It has the best soundtrack, the best cast. It's just fantastic. The book, however, was completely different to what I expected. It is nothing at all like the movie is. It's definitely less focused on the witchy side of things and more on the normal life side of things, whereas the movie focuses more on the witchy things. And I don't know, it's just so much more exciting and entertaining, and I love it. It has a big place in my heart. I love it. So Practical Magic follows two sisters who come from a long line of witches, and neither of them wants to be a witch because they've grown up having to deal with insults and taunts from the town that they live in. So they don't want to be witches, they want to have a normal life, and it just doesn't seem to want to happen that way. But they both just want to escape, and they escape in their own different ways. But I just found this book very boring and definitely nowhere near as exciting as the film is. Like, I just didn't quite enjoy reading the characters because they were very unlikable to me, whereas in the movie, I don't know, you got to know more about them and you felt more for them than you do in the book. I don't know, they just did it really, really well. And there was just something about this that was missing. It was missing that witchy element that we all know and love from the movie, and it just was not as good as the movie. And I think they did well at changing it up a bit and making it more witchy. Plus, like I said, it has the best soundtrack. The next one is one that you've probably seen on my worst books of 2020 video because I hated this book so much, and that was Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. I mentioned this before about how much I really love all the adaptations of Peter Pan, like the Disney one, the live action ones, the Once Upon a Time one. They've all done so well, but the book was just so shit. I don't know what it was, but I just hated it so much, and I will never read it again. I just thought it was awful. But I honestly hated everything about this book. I hated the writing. I hated all the characters. The ending was awful. The movies are so much better. I've never really been a big fan of Peter Pan, but I still can enjoy the movies. I just don't like the book. The next one I have is another classic that you would have also seen on my worst books of 2020, and that was The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I didn't enjoy this as much as I thought I was going to. I love the movie because the movie is so magical and the character development is so well done. You really do feel for these characters and all that they have been through, whereas in this book, you sort of just don't see that character development happen. And with Mary, I know you're supposed to not like her at the beginning and you're supposed to like her eventually, but I just didn't have that. I just did not like her in the book at all, even when I was supposed to. But I just found that the book didn't quite have the magic that the movie does. And I've only seen the original one. I haven't seen the Colin Firth adaptation, which I really should watch because I know it's probably going to be amazing because Colin Firth. But yeah, I just find that the book didn't quite have the same feel and the same magic that the movie does, and I feel like they did really well in turning this into a movie and giving us a story that actually contained the magic and the mystery, whereas the book just didn't quite have that. The next one I have is probably one I enjoyed both the movie and the book, but I still love the movie more, and that is Stardust by Neil Gaiman. I freaking love this book and the movie. I think they are both so incredibly amazing. I love Stardust. It is so much fun to watch. It's the perfect movie to watch when you're sick, when you're not feeling your best, when you just want to watch like a classic fantasy type story. It's perfect. It goes alongside of The Princess Bride. This book, as you can see, is quite short, but it's read like a fairy tale, which is absolutely fantastic and the main reason I absolutely love this. There are a lot of differences between this and the movie, and I think they did really well at giving you the same theme of the book, but keeping it the same sort of story, but also like adding more to it, making it more magical, making it more romantic, and I think they did really well. I really have grown to love Neil Gaiman's writing. I think he's a fantastic author and I want to read more of his work, but Stardust was so good. But I do enjoy the movie better because of the cast and because of how they adapted it, because there's a lot of stuff that happens super quickly in this that you don't really get much explanation of, whereas in the movie you get to see more, and I really enjoy that. We get to expand more on different scenes that happen, so I really enjoy that. But yes, it's probably one that I enjoy, both the book and the movie. I think they are both fantastic, both very different, but I still enjoy them nonetheless. And the next one that I have is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is another one very similar to Stardust, where I like both the book and the movie. This one was actually split into 3 movies, if you don't already know. I love Lord of the Rings. I love The Hobbit. The movies are so freaking good, and I feel like I'm the only one who says that, because anyone who talks about them always makes fun of them. I don't understand. Like, they talk about how cringy it is, how the romance shouldn't have been added, how it shouldn't have been made into 3 movies. I don't understand. I love it. I love it so much. And I think if you have read this, you will know that with Tolkien, he just pretty much says, this happened, then this happened, then this happened. But he doesn't really describe too much, and he doesn't focus on the things that should be focused on. He's just like, yep, so this happened, then they go to this, and they go to this. And if you remember, Gandalf actually disappears for the majority of this book, whereas he has his own separate story in the movie, which I freaking loved that they did that, because we get to see what Gandalf is actually doing. He didn't just disappear like he does in the book. So he's off doing his own mission in the movie, and the fact that we get to see that makes it so much better, because you have no idea what he's up to in this book. He's just gone for most of it, and then he comes back at the end. So you're like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? We kind of need your help. We kind of needed your assistance through all of these different things that we were doing, but you weren't here. So at least in the movie we get to see what he was doing and what he was up to, which was just so good. And I also love the added romance, because it just, I don't know, it just added something more to it. And I don't care what anybody says, I think it was great, and I'm a sucker for a good romance. So it appeals to the audiences that probably wouldn't go for The Hobbit if they don't usually like that type of genre, but maybe if they know that romance is in it, they'll probably like it. So yes, I did enjoy the movies a lot better than the book, and I think it was a good idea to split it up in 3. They probably could have done it in 2, but I think doing it in the 3 was a good idea, because you got to focus on different parts of the book and expand on different things. There could have been some things taken out, like a lot of the scenic views could have been taken out, but I think that's what makes these movies so powerful to me, is because they are so beautiful with the scenic views. I love it. But yeah, so I think they did really well in adapting this. Lord of the Rings is still far better, but I do love The Hobbit. And I do enjoy the movie a lot. I do enjoy the movies a lot. And I really enjoy the fact that they did 3. So that doesn't bother me. I really enjoy it. I love the added Gandalf story. I love the romance. I just think they did really, really, really well. And I will forever love this book. But I do think they did well with the movies. Well, there you go, guys. Those are the movies that I enjoyed better than the book counterpart. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what movies you enjoyed better than their books, or if you enjoyed the books better than the movie. Let me know. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!